Hi and welcome to this live currency strength indicator table video with me, John, on this Monday, the 19th of June. So halfway through the month now, and we're looking to see if we can capitalize on this yen weakness still. Last week, yen weakened really significantly, especially against the Australian dollar and the pound. And the tables are telling us that it's where we should be focusing our efforts once again. Now, we did talk about an entry into Aussie yen on Friday that has triggered. I ended up closing that position for 72 pips of profit before the weekend, but if you held onto it over the weekend, you're still in that position, and price still was technically moving to the upside the last time that I checked. So we will go over Aussie yen once more because it's another featured pair, but I'm going to talk about pound yen. We're going to talk about where that market could go next, and essentially, will this yen weakness really continue in the market? And if it does, then the likes of pound yen could be reaching some next levels of interest. So pound yen, we know, has been breaking through all these levels of resistance. We've got the 174.50 it's traded through, and then last week we shot up from that 174.50 all the way up to the 180 spot 75 and beyond that. So it was around a 700 pip move. Now, typically when you get those types of moves, it's there's an argument that there could be a little bit of a pullback because it was such a big move. However, fundamental drivers in the market are really keeping the market in this risk-on sentiment, and if that continues, then that yen could weaken even further. We've also got Bank of England data this week, and the Bank of England have been very hawkish on the pound, talking about rates could potentially be at 5.75%. Now, rates at the moment are down at 4.5%. There's expectations of a 25 basis points hike in the next meeting. So there's still maybe some way to go for the Bank of England in terms of interest rates. That could be a driving factor for the pound to continue to get stronger with the market pricing in those rate hikes. So this is the fundamental driver driving this market. Now we're looking at it technically, we're trading above the 180 spot 75, which was this low that formed back in September, the 13th of September, in fact, on 2015, that week there. Price formed that low. We rallied up to the 188, and you can actually see, if I just move this over slightly, you can actually see on this weekly chart on pound yen that it formed like a head and shoulders pattern before price really changed direction and started to trade to the downside. We even broke through sort of a trend line support there, and price trended lower. So are we actually going to target this right shoulder and left shoulder of this head and shoulders pattern, which is at 188 next for pound yen? And if that's the case, can we look at some entries into this market for a long idea? Now, went down to the 4-hour time frame. You can see this really steep upward trend that's forming. Now, from a 4-hour time frame point of view, the previous level of support now is that 180 spot 75, but also these highs down here at 179 spot 38. The only problem with that is we would require the market to pull back over 220 pips to get back to that previous high, and I just don't see that happening just yet. If we go down to the hourly, however, there are some other levels that we could be interested in. So I'm actually just going to move this box back to the upside. So one area of interest could be these lows here, around about the 181 spot 25. Reason being is because price has come into that level and had a very shallow bounce from that point. Alternatively, the area that I like is back at that support zone, back at that 180 spot 75. And the reason being is because not only do we have the horizontal support there from the higher time frame, we also have this previous high on the hourly, we have the 50 MA catching up with that, and we also have trend line support. So there's multiple confluences around this 180 spot 75. Now, you may not want to enter at 180 spot 75 because what we've been finding recently is that when we've been putting our entries on these whole numbers or quarter numbers, we've actually been sort of left behind on the move because price hasn't been triggered because of spread and whatnot. So you can see I've drawn a zone in there, so we may want to start looking at entries around about the 180 spot 80 or even the 180 spot 85. So you've got like that 10 pip buffer. It's saying that we need a minimum of 150 pips. Now 150 pip stop from, let's say, the 180 spot 80, which is where I've put my entry. 150 pips is not too far away, to be honest. It takes us below that low, which is nice. If we want to stretch it a little bit further, it could go below this bullish candlestick low, but I think by the time it takes out that low there, we're probably going to be stopped out anyway. Now the alternative is the 90 pip stop, so a 90 pip stop loss can bring us underneath these lows here. So the way I'm looking at this at the moment is the 180 spot 80 entry, which is around about here, just above that 180 spot 75, with a 90 pip stop loss. Now, like I said, the 90 pip stop loss takes us below that low there, takes us below the 50 MA, takes us below the support zone. So that's a safe entry, I feel, for pound yen. So that's going to be our featured move of the day. We're expecting pound yen to obviously trade much, much higher. If it reaches the 188, then that is a huge return on our investment if we were to look for that move in there. Minimum we want to see is that risk reward of 1 to 3, and that happens around about the 183 spot 50. So again, really nice area to look to take some profits if price does come down and trigger us into this potential move here. Now, obviously, we've talked about Aussie Yen recently. Aussie Yen's been a chart that we've been watching for a while. We got a little bit unfortunate on Aussie Yen for the move to the upside, but if you actually take a look at the chart today, there's a couple of different opportunities here as well. So we looked at the potential for the market to continue on Friday. It did continue. We were looking for entries at 96.72, which triggered us in, and then the market rallied to the upside. So I managed to take about 72 pips out of this. Basically before the end of the session, I came online again, saw that we were in profit of 72 pips, banked the move. We then sort of overnight came back down in, and we've retested that move again, so off the 50 MA as well, and price is moving higher. Now, a bit of an alternative entry here, because we've got targets at the 98 spot sort of 50, spot 60 handle, which is just a little bit higher up. If we just go to that weekly chart, it's around about this area here, that 98 spot 50, that high, which I think is going to be targeted by price. I want to be looking for another entry into this market as well. So you can see we've already rebounded from the 50 MA. We did have trendline support again. We had horizontal support through here. So if you're not in this market now, like myself, I've already banked a move. I'm going to add a second position in. So I'm actually looking to get in at the 97.25 handle, which are these highs just in here. And I'm looking to get in with the opportunity to see price come all the way up to the 98 spot 50. And stop loss is suggesting that we have at least 100 pips on the stop loss. Now that will bring us down below this previous low there. So depending on how aggressive you want to be, you could go a little bit tighter with your stop loss and just put it below this previous low to increase that risk reward ratio. But for me, I like the idea of being 100 pips. We still have a positive risk reward ratio as well, and we still get to trade that potential yen weakness. One final chart that I want us to take a quick look at then is cable. So pound US dollar is another chart of interest for us. Basically, price has traded through the 1 spot 26.50, looking for the move up to 1 spot 3 now. I'll be looking for potential entries into this market as well, and I'm looking to see if we can get a bit of a deeper retracement on this one. So around about this 1 spot 27.85, or even this low here, 1 spot 27.67. I just don't feel price is going to come down to the 127 once again, unless we get like a daily sort of retracement phase from this move. So that's something to consider as well going into this session. But boards lit up again, boards lit up with that yen weakness. Can we see that continue against the pound on the Aussie? Thanks for watching this video, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.